Hey everybody, JayC here. Welcome to another Thursday live stream. Hope everybody has been having a good week. And if you were trying to buy something from Walmart's Collector Con this morning, hopefully you were able to get what you wanted. I actually don't think anything has really sold out. Maybe a few things, one or two things, but I don't think anything. Most of the stuff is, last time I checked, was still actually available. Now, granted, the site at times during the day did not make it easy for people to buy things. Definitely the site was very glitchy. I think is probably the spam bots, or not spam, but the scalper bots were trying to buy everything up. I think it bogged down the site and caused it to glitch. But hopefully you guys were able to get what you wanted, even if it took you longer than you were probably expecting. Let's see who's in the house. So Blake is in the house. What's up, Blake? He got his Ulick and 2 gung-hos. I actually got 2 gung-hos as well. I got one to open and one to keep on the card back, because I ended up buying. I was only going to get gung-ho because that was the only one I really wanted. But then I let myself get suckered in and I bought one of each. But then it was like to keep on the card backs, and then I was like, well, if I get one of each, then I got to get 2 gung-ho, because I definitely want to open the gung-ho. Michael's in the house. Blade Runner is in the house. No Europe for nothing for you, and that sucks. I don't know. My guess is most of these things will be made available to you at some point. I don't know exactly how, but I wouldn't, give up all hope. KJ, Walmart, or F-class burglars. Quinn's Comics is in the house. Playwater 31, rough day because of Collector Con or something else. Everett's in the house. What's up? Bean, all he got was Ulick. Is that all you wanted, or that's the only thing you were able to get? I've pretended like collector cons don't exist, and my life has been pretty good. Not too bad as a philosophy. So the only thing I got the Ulick. I ended up buying a Ulick this morning, and then I got the G.I. Joe classified retro card back figure. So those are the only thing. Well, no, and the Wally West DC Multiverse Flash. I got that one as well. Those are the only things that I got, and frankly, those are the only things that I wanted. Tomato Can says, took an hour and a half to get all 5 vintage collection figures in the cart. I didn't try and get those. The Stormtrooper, I know, was definitely causing a lot of people problems early in the morning. But I didn't try those, so... I believe Shockwave Red was out today. Maybe not. Here, we'll pop over there. Don't see it, so I know the Beast War stuff went up today, but I don't remember seeing the red stuff, so that may be tomorrow. I don't know what's coming tomorrow. I don't know if we'll get more stuff or if they'll just relist the same stuff, to be absolutely honest. You know, the communicate, like I just got a press release from Walmart's PR company with like links to the stuff from this morning. I'm like, dude, you waited a little late. But yeah, I don't know. Unless there's some surprises, maybe there's a Marvel Legend we don't know about. I don't think so, but you never know. So I'll be keeping an eye on it. So if there's anything surprising that comes up tomorrow, check TNI or Marvelous News. But I don't know. KJ, it's listed as a gold label figure and yes, a comic. But you got to realize that like Comic Con exclusives these days mean it's going to be made available online. So essentially, it's going to be available at Target, just like the other 66 Batman figures. So you don't have to go to San Diego to get it, I don't think. Again, all those 66 Batman figures are Target exclusive. So I think they fully charge when the item's about to ship or when it ships. I think they might do like you might get like I forget what they call it, but where they charge you a couple bucks just to verify the card is good. But I don't think they fully charge you until the item ships. And hopefully they won't cancel stuff. That's my big. I mean, I got everything I wanted, but you never know with these big box retailers that they'll just start canceling stuff. Walmart canceled my Death in the Family Joker figure. Bean says the way Haul-A-Thon is going is bizarre. First there were almost daily video drops. Now there's nothing. I don't know, man. I saw some guy dressed up as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle last week, and the thing was like so bad. I mean, I hope the guy got a paycheck out of it, but I don't know what the hell that was. But hopefully they'll do a better job tomorrow than they did last Friday. Hopefully they'll get it straightened out with the whole Haul-A-Thon website and whether I still don't know if like people who bought in the US who bought from Haul-A-Thon, will they get their stuff or will they get their stuff canceled? Neca's been pretty quiet on that whole situation from last week. So we'll have to see how it goes tomorrow. I think like tomorrow we'll see the robot Rocksteady and Bebop, and I think there's that gargoyles the dog creature. I forget the name of it, but it's not a full on figure, but it's like one of their pets or something. I think that's gonna go up tomorrow. Everett wants to see an updated Ant-Man and Wasp with pinless technology. I don't think that's coming anytime soon, but probably we'll see it eventually. Never know. I mean, with an Ant-Man movie coming out, another Ant-Man movie, it's probably a given. We'll see more Ant-Man figures. Well, probably we'll see the next Disney Plus figure here, maybe as soon as next week with the first episode of Moon Knight premiering. We'll probably see that Moon Knight figure shortly after that. But, we got to wait for each show to come on before they're going to reveal stuff. I think we might see, I haven't checked. Last time I checked, it looked like we might be seeing the Thor wave by the end of this month, but I haven't checked here recently to see if that's still a go or not. Well, basically what happens is everybody comes at the same time to the website, and then on top of that, I don't know how those scalper bots affect it, but I have a feeling they drag down the website. So it's because of all that traffic hitting at once. I mean, you're right. I kind of feel like companies like Walmart and Target should be able to invest better in their websites, but at the same time, it's probably not normally a major thing. So it's only like on occasion when they do these kinds of events where they get hammered like that. But it's everybody coming to the site at the same time. And most websites probably would have a very difficult time handling that much traffic all at one time. The shopping cart, especially, it's just everybody's like, trying to add stuff. And it's basically what happens is the website can't keep up. So that's why you always see with these things where it's showing that it's in stock, but you're like clicking on it and it won't go in your basket. It means it's probably gone out of stock. And so the website just hasn't caught up to register that it's no longer in stock. But you see that all the time with these things. They sent out a press release months ago, so I saw the one figure. I haven't seen them in person or anything, but I know what you're talking about. The guy who did the toys that made us on Netflix, he started his own toy company, and he's trying to relaunch the RoboForce figures from the 80s. For those not familiar, that's what he's asking about. I think Dave Vonner works for them now. So, the guy used to do Marvel Universe figures for Hasbro and Toy Biz. The turtle stuff seems to be arriving. That line seems to be the one that has the most figures that seem to arrive for it. I'm still waiting on Thundercat. Like, I have not gotten anything for Thundercats since the last wave with the slide. I'm still waiting. I keep seeing these guys. I guess Super 7 is sending out figures to certain people, and I'm like, to post up on YouTube and stuff, and I'm like, I have no problem if you want to send free product to people. That's totally cool. But if you can't even get the stuff to your paying customers, it's not a good luck when you're sending out. You're somehow able to get these samples out to certain people, but you can't get the actual product out to the people who paid for it. So I don't know. That's just me. Maybe but I'm still waiting on Thundercats, and of course, we just got the reveal of the third GI Joe Ultimates, which I think look great. But I'm still waiting to get the first wave in hand. Jason really wants the Elvira figure from Neca. So there's an autograph version, and then there's the regular version. I don't get people paying $100 for like an autograph like that. That's crazy to me. I guess they think it's going to be rare and therefore valuable, but I don't know. To me, that's crazy. But yeah, the Elvira figure looks pretty good. I think that's been hitting physical Target stores. That might be going up for sale. I think that might be going up for sale on the website tomorrow. So I think you'll get a chance to get it tomorrow. And he says NECA has other problems with in regards to Loot Crate. They are a growing number of people who are calling it a scam. Combine that with the abysmal handling of HaulAthon. I don't think it's a scam, but Yeah, I mean they'll deliver them eventually, but I don't know what the holdup is, especially since they announced like last month that the next two figures were here in the ports. I guess maybe they just haven't been unloaded. I don't know, but I don't think it's a scam. The Pizza Monster is hitting. I ordered that when they put it up on their Neca site, so I have that one already. I'm debating on what, like, so I pre-ordered the Usagi Jumbo figure when it went up, and I didn't get the neutrinos. I didn't get the crooked Ninja Turtle gang or the leader or the Rock Soldier one. I didn't pre-order those. I figure if I see them at Walmart, or not Walmart, but Target, I might get them. But I'm kind of like running out of space, and so I don't know. I mean, I've got one whole cabinet back there dedicated to the NECA Turtle stuff, and it's pretty full. So I've only got so much room. I might get the Robot Rocksteady and Bebop if I see that on shelves. I haven't really been out looking though. That was one of those set. Or no, that one I think is going to go up tomorrow. But I don't think I'm going to try and order it online. Maybe I will. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with that one. KJ, who knows? It's possible with everything going on in the world. With stuff going on in Ukraine and stuff. I mean, it's possible. Nothing. No. Well, you're talking about HaulAthon. So I think like the Elvira figure will go up tomorrow. I think the Robot Rocksteady and Bebop will be going up tomorrow. And I'm basing this on this. These are the things I've started to see hitting the physical stores. So I think the stuff is starting to hit like a little bit before they go up online. So I've seen people finding the Elvira figure. I've seen people been finding the Robot Rocksteady and Bebop. I think the animated series Toka and Razar, which was up on the Haul-A-Thon website last week, but was not up on Target. So I'm thinking that will probably be made officially available this weekend. But and then I can't remember the gargoyles. Somebody help me out here. The gargoyles, the dog or demon dog. I don't know what. It's not a full-on figure, but I forget the name of it, but I think that's going to be showing. That's been showing up at Target stores, so I think that might be made available tomorrow. Oh, the Evil Dead figure. That one I've seen as well. So that one will probably. I don't. That one didn't go up last week. I don't think so. I think that one's going to be going up. Bronx, yes, thank you, Blade Runner. Bronx. I think that one's going to go up for Gargoyles tomorrow. Yeah, I never. I'm not a huge Gargoyles fan, so I think they're cool, but I started to watch the first episode and then I never went back to it. Not that I didn't like it, it didn't like grab my attention super, and then I just kind of lost time to go back and watch it. One of these days, I'm going to go watch it on Disney Plus, but I never watched the show when it originally came out. I got the Goliath figure, but I I because the figures are so big that I don't really have a lot of space for them. So I think they look cool. I it's a line that I've kind of held off from trying to collect because I didn't really watch the cartoon when it originally came out, and the figures are so big that they take up so much space. Yeah, I know that's been hitting physical stores. I can't remember if that was one of the ones that went up last week. I don't think it was. I think that's going to be one of the ones that goes up this week. Yeah, the cloak. I saw that, but like that's the only one that all the others have like the big plastic wings. As far as when it's going to go up for pre-order, no, I've not heard anything. I mean, it should be sometime this year, but I don't know exactly when. But that's definitely one I plan on getting when it does. That didn't that go up last week? Maybe not. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I guess not. So that's been hitting stores. So yeah, I don't know for sure, but I would say probably. It's like because I keep what was on Target last week, and then what was on Haul-A-Thon last week, and then what has been showing up at stores. So it's hard to kind of keep it straight. Like the Black Nora figure from the boys, I think that will go up on Target's website this week. Joey says he spends way too much on plastic. I think we all do. What's up, Turtle Dave? Um, that's another one that's been hitting stores, but I guess wasn't online last week, huh? So I again, I mean, I'm going by what I've seen at stores, figuring that's going to be going up online. So I think it's certainly a possibility. Unfortunately, I've not seen any announcements of we probably won't know until tomorrow morning exactly what's going to go up. So I don't have, unfortunately, it would be nice if they put that information out, beforehand, but I doubt we're gonna, see anything until tomorrow morning on what's gonna go up specifically. And then of course we'll have to see if some things go up on the Haul-A-Thon website that don't go up on Target like last week. Turtle Dave not liking the wings on Demora. Now keep in mind though, most of these things at Target are not Target exclusives. I think the only thing that's actually Target exclusives are the signature stuff and then the turtle figures. But everything else will eventually be made available elsewhere, including like all the gargoyles figures and stuff. So, if you don't get them at Target, you will get other opportunities at them. Um, did Galvatron just go up? The final batch for today on Walmart's website was supposed to go up at 7. But I don't see anything new. I don't see it coming up. I don't have the I don't have a direct link. Now that's the other thing that, you know, what we guys do, there everybody people will go around searching the system and find these things, they get put on the website and then they find the direct links and then everyone starts hitting those direct links before technically they've even officially gone live. So that's a little bit on us where we start to do that. But obviously that helps us find the stuff easier when we have the links ahead of time. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. But that's where, guys will go search the system and find the stuff that's listed on the website before it even officially goes live. I mean, we were able to pre-order the classified Baroness and Lady J last week. Those were up on the site and people were able to start pre-ordering those last week. So Now I'm curious, like, Walmart, when's Walmart going, the physical Walmart stores, when are they going to start getting those classified figures in stock? I mean, it seemed like maybe some were already showing up at storerooms since that one person found the Baroness, over a month ago at the Walmart. But that's the only one I've seen of anyone finding that one. It's kind of like the Crocmaster, where one person found a Crocmaster at a Walmart, but I haven't heard of anyone else finding any more of those figures since then. Yeah, the Walmart app I found was easier to get to things than on the main, like on a desktop computer. And part of that I feel like is because like you could go and access things beforehand through the app, whereas like they had some kind of blocker up so that you couldn't go to it. Just every time you would click, even if you clicked on the direct link, it would take you to that main landing page. So I feel like that kind of screwed things up too. Whatever they had done to kind of try and keep people from accessing the stuff directly beforehand. That's another one I've seen found in stores. So you're right. I would say out of all the things we've mentioned here, if they don't go up tomorrow, they'll go up the next Friday. But will we ever see I'm assuming you mean X-Men animated series figures like Jean and Sinister on retro cards without cell shading? I wouldn't count on it like this year, but certainly I wouldn't be surprised if down the road we see something like that. But not in the immediate future, if that's what you mean. The Stormtrooper was definitely put up. It may be sold out now. I'll check for you. But I saw it was definitely up earlier today. Now, the Stormtrooper is currently listed as out of stock, so they might restock it tomorrow. If you go to Jedi Insider, you can get there. I have direct links to all those on the site, so you can bookmark it. But right now, it is currently that one is currently showing sold out. Yeah, Hasbro Pulse put up their exclusives, or Hasbro, I should say, put up their exclusives on Pulse. Uh, so, and they might have put like the miscommunication was so like when Hasbro put out their press releases for all these figures, they had put in their press release that the stuff would be going up at 1 p.m. Eastern time, starting today. But of course, then Walmart put out their own press release about the CollectorCon event where they started talking about how things would go up starting at 7 a.m. and then again at I think it was 10 a.m. or no, noon, and then 5 p.m. and these were Pacific times. So like, there was definitely a miscommunication going on for like when these things would go live, and and they, of course, they didn't tell us what was going to go up when. So it was just like, and I mean, I think that's in part because they want they want us all checking their website throughout the day. Walmart does, but definitely a lot of miscommunication going on, poor communication, which is not terribly unusual. Same thing with the Haul-A-Thon event. As I just said, it would be nice if they gave us a list, like at least today, of what we could expect to see going up for pre-order tomorrow. But they're gonna wait until the last minute because they want you. Basically, they want you to be there, even if they're not putting up something you want. They want you to be there to check in case they're putting something up you want. I mean, to me, it's just a way to get everyone going to their site on regular basis. It was originally listed this morning, but that one was the one that people were having problems actually being able to add to the cart. And then probably I would say around noonish Eastern time, I saw it was actually available and you could buy it, but I didn't go back and check and see how long it lasted. So it may have sold out pretty quickly. I'm kind of surprised. I feel like, don't people have enough stormtroopers in their collection at this point? Probably not for a while. I mean, I think last week was Mattel's big Masterverse reveals. I mean, when the next wave goes up for pre-order, we'll probably see some figures we haven't seen before, but when exactly that's going to be, I don't know. The newest wave with the Merman and the Tila and stuff is starting to hit now, so hopefully it won't be too long before the wave 6 goes up for pre-order. So, like I said, I think we'll probably see a few new figures in that wave that weren't shown off last week. But I wouldn't expect another big reveal event for Masters until probably, July, San Diego Comic-Con time. Well, I mean, I I yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, at the same hand, I mean, Walmart's a huge company. I mean, if all the things that Walmart sells, these are probably very small, minimal. I mean, you have to wonder why they go out of their way to do these collector con events. I mean, I think they're trying to cash in on the whole pop culture. They started doing these with, to coincide with San Diego Comic Con and New York Comic Con, which, by the way, they will be doing this again during those events. But yeah, they don't. I don't think I don't think they put that much emphasis, and I don't think they communicate well. Like, I don't think the Hasbro people know until like last minute on exactly when things are going to go up or how they're going to go up, or they're left in the dark, I think, a lot of times on these things, just like we are. They're not going to come out and say that. They're not going to come out and say, "Oh, Walmart's not telling us what's going on," because they're not going to risk bad mouthing Walmart. But I think a lot of times they're kind of left in the dark until the last minute as well. The Watcher, I assume you mean for Marvel. So I'm guessing it doesn't seem like there's any Fan Fridays going to be this month, since we're almost at the end of the month. But I would expect, because from what I've seen, there's going to be a lot of stuff going up for pre-order next month in April. So I would definitely expect at least one live stream next month. They might even end up, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't be totally surprised if they end up doing like, kind of like a special collector event. I think they did one last year, and it wasn't in February during what would normally be Toy Fair, but I think it was like in March or April last year that they did one. So I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe don't do that next month. But I would say next month, and when exactly I don't know, but probably next month is when the next live stream for Hasbro will be. You're right. KJ's right. Walmart, Target, and Amazon, we've talked about this before. That's their biggest customers, not us as the individuals. We buy from Walmart, Target, and Amazon, but they buy, the person buying from them are these retailers. And those retailers buy far more inventory than anybody else. Whether, Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, they don't come close to ordering the number of products that those big retailers do. So yeah, they basically, they can try and, sway the retailers, but at the end of the day, the retailers call the shots. No problem, man. It's what I'm here for. I hope not. But these days, that's definitely a worry. Anytime you order from any of these big box retailers, that seems to be all of them, Target, Walmart, Amazon, Disney, GameStop, they'll just randomly cancel shit, and there's nothing I mean, I'm still pissed that my X-Force box set from Disney, Shop Disney, got canceled. I'm assuming at some point Hasbro will make it available again, probably on Pulse. But I'm irked that got canceled, and from what I understand, everybody who ordered from there got their order canceled. So I don't know what happened there, but yeah, that annoyed me. My Joker, my Death in the Family Joker from Walmart got canceled. So that's always, I don't, unless it's an exclusive, I generally don't order unless, or either if it's an exclusive or if it's in stock, but I don't pre-order from the big box retailers whenever, if I can avoid it. And like GameStop, so I just got this today from GameStop. The Gaming Greats Republic Commando. This came the other day, but I heard a lot of people who had tried to get that 20th anniversary Captain America ended up getting a Ben Reilly Spider-Man. So that was a whole mess. I mean, they refunded people's money, but still, you think you're ordering something and you get something totally different. I'm sure it was a mix up in the warehouse, but it's annoying nevertheless. Of course, the downside to going to a place like Big Bad Toy Store Entertainment Earth, you don't really have to worry about them canceling your order, but they're slower because they don't get their stuff as fast. They don't get the priority to get the stuff like the Targets and the Walmarts and the Amazons do. So, that's again, trying to keep you going to these big box retailers. They're the ones that get most of the stuff first, and then the small guys have to wait. But at least with the small guys, you can guarantee eventually it will come. I do too. I again, unless it's an exclusive, I will not pre-order from. I usually will not pre-order from a big box retailer. Um, if it's in stock, if I see something in stock that I want that I haven't been able to get, I will sometimes buy it. Like I just got a shipping notification from Target that my the Masters of the Universe Origins Clawful and Anti-Eternia figures are shipping. And I had them on pre-order at Big Bad, but I saw them in stock at Target, so I went on and ordered them. But I definitely wouldn't pre-order those things from Target. And like even like GameStop was showing that the DC Multiverse Clayface figure was in stock, so I ordered that the other day from there along with the Swamp Thing figure, and then I get a shipping notification saying that only Swamp Thing is shipping. And who knows? I'm probably going to cancel that Clayface order because the only reason I ordered it there is because they were showing it was in stock. So I'm like, screw that. I'm not gonna. If they're not going to ship it, then I'm going to cancel the order. Listen to Quinn, folks. Support your local shops, online e-tailers, and local comic book shops when you can. Yeah, I mean, again, as much as I say support the small guy, I on it, I don't. I sometimes do buy from Amazon. I mean, I probably buy a good number of stuff from Amazon because I get free shipping with everything, and I get it usually the next day. So when it's in stock, that is. I don't pre-order from Amazon unless it's an exclusive. But if it's something that's in stock that I haven't gotten from an e-tailer, then I will sometimes buy that item because I know it'll be there the next day. But I don't usually go to GameStop. I buy very little from GameStop usually, but again, in this case, I wanted to see, I thought the Clayface figure was in stock, and so I took a shot. And I hadn't gotten I have the Swamp Thing figure on pre-order at Big Bad Toy Store, but it hasn't come in stock. So I was like, well, I'll get both of these things and I'll get free shipping. But then they ended up only shipping the Swamp Thing. So I was a little irked over that. Yeah, we were just talking about that. How people at GameStop ordered the 20th anniversary cap, and they ended up getting the Ben Riley Spider-Man figure instead. Edwards, your wife got Olic. No problem, man. Hopefully it shows up. Yours shipped, bastard. Probably got mine. I don't know. Maybe it'll end up showing up with the Swamp Thing. I don't know. I noticed that the shipping notification I got just said partial shipment order, and it was just Swamp Thing. So they probably oversold it though. So I probably waited too late, and so I'm gonna have to. And I'm not gonna wait. If they can't ship it now, I'm gonna cancel the order. But toy buying, yeah, is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Now I pretty much open all my things, so I don't generally, stress over like the packaging getting damaged or something. But if I was a mint collector ordering from these big box retailers, I mean I see them shipping stuff in envelopes and all kinds of stuff. So it would suck. The GameStop exclusive one. Yeah, hopefully they'll be able to deliver. Yep. We get a new video clip every day. So I feel like Disney puts out way too much video clips for their stuff. I feel like by the time the episode airs, I'm going to have seen the entire thing through video clips. Yeah, some people did get their cat, some people got Cap, but definitely there were a few people who got Spider-Man instead. So, I know we talked a little bit about this last week, but I wanted I saw this week how certain portions of the internet were blowing up over that Todd McFarlane interview from Shartimus Prime with the female figure thing. I won't say it caused quite a stir because I mean a couple people posting about it or one comic book site posting about it I wouldn't call a major stir, but it definitely seemed to catch some eyes. But it got me thinking. I mean, how many people here? And again, we talked about this last week, and I definitely felt like there are definitely people who buy female action figures, but I just wonder how many people actually were outraged by what Todd McFarlane said in that interview. Not, I wouldn't even go as far as saying outraged, but definitely like was left with a bad taste in your mouth. Yeah, I have not heard anything about it being canceled. I can do some checking on that for you, and I'll see. But I mean, if you pre-ordered it, if it got canceled, I think you probably would get a cancellation notice from Big Bad Toy Store. So maybe they just sold out and took it down. I don't know, but I'll check. If I find out that it was canceled, then I'll either talk about it I'll probably talk about it in a news video or bring it up in the next live stream. But I have not heard anything, and like I said, I feel like if it was canceled, they probably would have sent you a cancellation notice. So this is the thing about, so yeah, definitely Todd's little story about the kid, the joke or whatever about him becoming a psychopath or whatever. I mean, that was, I don't know what the hell he was talking about there. That's definitely, sticking foot in mouth type deal. So I'm definitely not going to sit there and try and justify that comment. But I think his overall point that female action figures don't sell as well as the male action figures is a totally legit one. He's not the first person in the toy industry that I've heard that from. So I read an article on a comic book site where the guy was making this claim without backing it up with any data that like collectors were now the dominant force in action figure buying. And while action figure, the adult collector has definitely grown over the years. I've been doing this for 20 years, and so it's definitely grown since I first started doing this. But there's no way in hell I'd sit here and tell you that there are more adult collectors out there buying toys than there are kids. Yes, kids have shrunk as well, but I would still put to you that they are still the dominant force in the toy world. That is who Walmart and Target are, looking, primarily to attract. So, I think his overall point is a completely legitimate one. And you can try and write that off and say, well, I bought female action figure. I did too. I bought, we talked about this last week. I bought, plenty of female action figures. When the property, but the reason why that is because like for G.I. Joe, because, I collected G.I. Joe because I was heavily influenced by the cartoon that I watched as a kid. Now, there's no denying that G.I. Joe was geared more for males than females, but they had a number of female characters in the show. And so, of course, I wanted the action figures based on those characters, just like I wanted the male characters. But I probably was more, the female characters generally were not my favorite characters. I had Princess Leia figures when I collected Star Wars. She was a, prominent character in the movies. But Han Solo was by far my favorite character and my favorite figure in the movie. So, and, I think there's definitely, back in the 80s and 90s and today, I still think that males far outweigh females who are buying action figures, both adults and kids. Now, I would love to see that change. I would love to see more females coming in, or, LGBTQ, whatever. Growing the demographic of people who buy action figures all around, I think is great. And honestly, I don't think there's any toy company out there who, if they thought female action figures would sell, they would be making more. They want to make money. So if they thought they would sell more, they would make them. So that kind of nullifies, nobody's not making female action figures because they're a sexist pig. I mean, I'm sorry, all these are businesses and they're going to make money. So if they think they can make money, if they think they can make them and they can sell them, they're going to make them. But where I feel going to that Todd McFarlane interview, and I mentioned this last week, the thing I thought funny about, the overall context of the interview was that he started out the interview by saying, hey, look, I'm my own boss. I don't have shareholders. I don't have to always maximize profits. I can pretty much do what I want. And then ending the interview talking about how female action figures don't sell as well, therefore that's why he doesn't make them as well. So, he kind of contradicts himself in that way. So if I was going to call McFarlane on anything, that's what I would call him on, is being like, well, and if I were doing the interview, a pushback question I might have given was, well, I understand that female action figures don't generally sell as well as the male ones, but, being you just said, you're your own boss and, you kind of set the stage. Don't you think maybe you should try and do more to attract, get more female action figures out there and try and attract more females to the hobby? That would kind of be my pushback question. But at the end of the day, I bet, I'm guessing there's probably not any females watching this video right now. And I can tell you, I've been running action figure toy news websites for 20 years. And while, yes, I've had some female readers, they are definitely the minority. So, what people should be asking, if you want more, if you want to see companies do more female action figures and stuff, what can be done to attract more females to the hobby? And I will also tell you, there are a lot of sexist pigs in this hobby. I've seen discussions on Marvel Legend groups, where people are complaining because their Marvel Legends don't have big enough tits. I mean, or their ass isn't big enough, or what have you. I mean, I don't know who. I feel, when people start talking about that kind of stuff, I'm like, okay, you're kind of creeping me out here. But, that's probably not too that's not a type of conversation that's going to be too appealing to, a female collector. But, this has been a hobby that's been dominated primarily the entire time that it's existed by males. So it would be great if that could change, but I feel like people need to start looking within, the Facebook groups that they're partaking in, or the content they're putting out on YouTube or what have you, and seeing what they can do to pull in more females to the hobby in general. It's not just about making more female action figures, and no company is going to make some more of something that if they don't think it's going to sell. But we still, I mean, you tell me a major Marvel character who hasn't been represented in, the Marvel Legends line in some way. The female characters in these properties, even though the properties themselves are generally more catered to the male audience, when there are females in those properties, those usually get action figures, right? I mean, and Todd is the only reason why Todd's probably not really doing more female action figures is because he's too busy doing Batman. But we've gotten plenty of female Bat characters. We've gotten Batwoman. We've gotten Unmasked Batwoman. We've gotten Batgirl. We've gotten video game Batgirl. We've gotten, so they're, I feel like, if people are really serious about wanting to bring in more females to the hobby, then, there's probably some changes within the hobby itself that need to be made to make it more open to other groups than just the males. And it's not necessarily on the companies themselves, demanding that they make more female action figures, that aren't probably going to sell as much. But again, going back to that Todd McFarlane interview, yeah, the joke thing was definitely piss poor. And yes, I feel like Todd, as he's touting that he's his own boss, then he can do what he wants, then he kind of leaves himself open to say, well, then why aren't you doing more to try and bring in, females to the hobby? But otherwise, as far as like him, trying to tell people that, female action figures sell every bit as much as the male action figures, or there's as many females in the hobby, or people who want to buy tons and tons of female figures. I mean, I was even, I'm not saying there's necessarily a correlation, but I was like noticing on the Walgreens website, all those Walgreens exclusives went up for pre-order again this week. The Binary, the Quasar, and the Baron Zemo figure. Well, the only one that's still available as I'm recording this now is the Binary figure. The Zemo and the Quasar figure sold out like in a couple hours. So I'm not saying necessarily that that's because, Binary is a female character, but I am saying, I don't really think that the female figures in general sell as well as the male ones. Sorry, I'm rambling. I know. And probably most of you are bored and don't want to hear it. I feel like there's legitimate points on both sides of the argument, but I feel like with many things on the internet, people just ignore the other side's point of view and are just like being outraged to be outraged. And I definitely not telling somebody that they shouldn't, if you were offended by what Todd said, I think, you have a right to be. I'm not going to tell you didn't have a right to be offended by what he said. I'm a white male, so it didn't necessarily offend me, but I definitely felt like, yeah, that was kind of in poor taste, and probably, he shouldn't have said it. But Do I think he's going to pay a serious penalty for it? Do I think people are really going to quit buying DC Multiverse figures because he said it? No, I don't. I looked at the comments in some of those McFarlane Facebook groups, and most of those people were like, "Yeah, this isn't a big deal. Yeah, Todd's a great guy. Yeah, yeah, So sorry, I'm trying to read through your comments. Well, yeah, I mean, Todd. But the thing about with the female characters is with Todd is there's as many male non-Batman characters out there that need to get action figures as the females. I agree with you with all of those, but the problem, Todd's biggest problem is he's too focused on freaking Batman. And so it's not just the females, it's pretty much anyone who's not Batman who Todd seems to have a problem getting figures out for. Turtle says 6-minute rant. Really, 6 minutes? That's my record. I better work on that. Yep, classic Wonder Woman. Definitely. But it's not like we haven't gotten Wonder Woman. We've gotten plenty, but they're all Batman. Again, they're all Batman related. 13 minutes, that's better. I think it's going to be, my guess is he'll get the license again, assuming he wants it. I don't think he's going to lose the license anytime soon. I could be wrong, but I mean, at least according to him, sales have been pretty good for DC Multiverse. So, and they seem to be carried fairly heavily in the stores. So, I haven't seen any problem with Targets and Walmarts carrying them. And the other thing with like DC Multiverse, and I feel like people where I was reading people who were ranting about, what Todd said, DC Multiverse are not sold in the collector area with like the NECA figures. I've seen a number of people try and say that. They are sold in the aisle that is dominated by boys action figures, okay? I don't know if they still call it a boys action figure aisle anymore, but that is where you find the DC Multiverse. Whether you're going into Target or whether you're going into Walmart, they are in the section with all the boys action figures. They are not in the section with the girls' dolls. Stores, again, whether they physically call them girls' sections and boys' sections anymore, I don't know. I haven't really paid attention. But they definitely group stuff in those categories. You go down one aisle in a Target, you're going to see all dolls and stuff that would be normally associated with girls. I'm not saying that a boy can't go down there and buy that. They have every right to. But I am saying that those toys are all grouped together in one area, just like the boys' action figures are. So whether they technically call it a boys' action figure section or not, the stores still very much group that stuff in there. And Todd, while he got his start as, obviously catering to the adult collector, I very much feel that Todd thinks that kids are buying those figures, that they're buying the Batman and they're buying the Superman. And I assume he has the sales data to back it up. So that's what he's basing it on. He's not really talking, when he says sales data, I don't think he's talking about us. I think he's talking about or at least not us alone. He's talking about, parents and kids. So, and Marvel Legends is the same way. They are not just making those figures for us, the adult collectors. They are very much still making those in a lot of ways for the kids and the parents buying them, their kids. We forget that sometimes, I think. But most of these action figure lines that these companies are doing that are carried in the main retailers like Walmart and Target are not just made for us, the adult collector. They are also very much still made for kids. So, again, when Todd's talking about sales, he's talking about the kids, not the adult collector. Well, and I I would have no problem if stores, if you walked into a toy aisle where you had the first area was dolls and the second area was Marvel Legends, I wouldn't really care that much. It wouldn't bother me if I don't have kids, but if I had a kid who wanted to play with dolls, I wouldn't sit there and tell them they couldn't. I mean, I don't care. I do feel like some people get hung up on that type of thing way too much. I mean, I used to sneak in. I have a sister, an older sister who played with Barbie. So I would, when I was a younger kid, I would sneak into my sister's room and I would play with the Barbies sometime. I mean, there was some cool Barbie shit. The Dreamhouse Barbie, I mean, that was a cool fucking playset, right? If so I would go in there and I'd play with that stuff. And yeah, I would look under the clothes and see, if they had private I mean, I think a lot of kids do that stuff. So I don't have a problem whether, I don't think boys have to only play with action figures. I don't think girls only have to play with dolls. I definitely think that's kind of an outdated line of thinking, but I am also saying that whether it's outdated or not, there are still a lot of people in this country who very much think that way. And they're not going to just overnight change how they think. Well, like, Strawberry Shortcake. So, Boss Fight Studio just announced, the other week that they're going to be doing a line of Strawberry Shortcake action figures, and we like She-Ra. I talked about this last week with the She-Ra stuff. I watched the She-Ra cartoon as a kid, but I didn't play with the toys because the toys to me were very much doll-like, and dolls did not interest. I mean, yes, I did go in and play with my sisters when I was young, but as I got older, I really wasn't into playing with dolls that much. And maybe that's just because of the stereotypes that I was influenced by. It's certainly possible, but I didn't really, well, and as I said, I didn't really collect He-Man either, so I really just wasn't into He-Man toys and She-Ra toys. I watched the cartoons all the time, but I was more into G.I. Joe and Transformers and Star Wars. Those were the main toy lines that I played with as a kid. But the She-Ra stuff was made definitely more for girls back then than and the He-Man toys were definitely made more for boys. Nowadays, the She-Ra stuff is all action figure oriented, just like the He-Man figure. So, definitely I think both females and males can play with them or collect them or whatever, but they definitely changed the design of the She-Ra stuff to be more, in line with the He-Man stuff. But back when the original line, that was not the case. And so like now we've got Strawberry Shortcake action figures coming out from Boss Fight Studio. I never, Strawberry Shortcake, I don't, I think had a cartoon back in the day, but it wasn't something I was ever, never really watched or anything like that. But, I was looking at those Strawberry Shortcake action figures that Boss Fight Studio had announced, and I was like, those are kind of cool looking. I could see myself maybe buying a few of those, but again, they are definitely made more like action figures. These are made more like action figures than dolls, which the original line very much was. Well, like, So Quinn runs a comic book store. So, what is your, and, not asking you to be precise, but what is your ratio, female to male buyer? Is it equal? Do you get a lot of females coming into your store buying comics or action figures? Um, I would definitely be interested to hear that. I never, I never get watched a lot of anime either, period. But the Sailor Moon stuff is pretty cool. He says, I don't think people understand that they're the minority. I used to get mad about Neca not making other obscure monsters, but they just wouldn't sell as well as Godzilla. Yeah, I mean, everybody likes what they like, and it's hard for them to imagine that other people don't like it, and especially on the internet where you surround yourself with like minded people usually. If you collect Marvel Legends, you probably spend a lot of time in areas dedicated to Marvel Legends. So you start to think, well, everybody likes Marvel Legends, right? You get outside of that group, and then you might find not as many people like it as you think. And it's the same thing with just action figure collecting in general. You spend a lot of time in something that's dedicated to that particular thing, you start to think everybody kind of likes that stuff, and then it's hard to imagine that it's actually not. um Quinn says it gets quite a few females coming in collecting both comics and toys, roughly about 30 to 40% on average. Well, that's awesome. And I think, especially with comics, I think comics have definitely, the female audience reading comics, I think, has definitely grown since, when I was a kid reading comic books. And I would like to think that action figures are growing as well. I don't see it myself. I don't see a ton of female collectors. I mean, again, in 20 years I've been doing this, I've had a few female readers and stuff, but they're usually few and far between. And recently we've seen there's more females coming out and doing like YouTube action figure reviews, which I think is awesome. I love to see more of that. Um, but still there's far fewer than there are the males. If you look at how many people on YouTube, females that cover action figures, it's a very small number. Not that the overall number is huge when you look at the overall YouTube, but still, when you compare it to how many like male action figure reviewers there are compared to females, it is very lopsided. See, maybe, but I think there are legitimate points. I think we as a hobby should look at ways to grow the hobby. If we want this hobby to continue, it's better if it grows than shrinks. Um, if collectors could become the dominant buying force of action figures, that just in general gives us a lot more sway over the toy companies and what they do and what they make. So the bigger this hobby can grow, the better it would be for everybody. And a way to do that is to bring in new demographics. There are people who don't seem to want to have females coming into the hobby, but I think that's ridiculous. And I think when females when more females start coming in the hobby, that means you do have to be kind of, think about what you're saying and, try and not make a sexist comment or something like that online. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but but at the same time, I do think there are people who just get like drama for the sake of drama, and they act outraged without even totally understanding the whole issue. That's really my biggest thing, is when people start complaining about something and they don't really even fully understand the issue. I saw some people giving Shartimus Prime a hard time because he didn't push back on Todd McFarlane in that interview. But first of all, Shartimus Prime is not a professional journalist, okay? He's a guy just like you guys that got started, an action figure collector that, started making videos of his action figures, but he's not like some journalist. In fact, I will tell you, I introduced Shartimus Prime to McFarlane Toys. The first time when Shartimus met Todd, is he was with me we were at Toy Fair. I brought Shartimus to Toy Fair with me, to help me cover the event. And I introduced him to, Todd, and because Shartimus was an online personality and I wasn't, I let him do like the interview and stuff. And that was like if you go back and watch his first interview, I was probably the one holding the camera for him. So, and the thing about this industry is, if you ask any kind of tough questions that might make them look bad, and yes, and I even told Shartimus this jokingly, this might be his last Todd McFarlane interview that he does, because I have a feeling that Todd may not be so inclined to do another interview with him. But if you ask these guys hard questions, they're likely not going to talk to you again. They're likely not going to give you an interview again. They don't like look at anybody in this hobby and go, oh, I've got to have, this guy has to interview me because he's going to help me he's going to help make my product or something. We don't have any kind of leverage with these toy companies. They don't value what we do that much. I know they sometimes make it seem that way, but you ask a hard question that might make them look bad, they will cut you off in a heartbeat. So, like I said, if I was doing the interview with Todd, I might have shot back at a question. When I interviewed Todd 2 years ago, I thought I asked him some pretty hard questions. But you know what? I've not interviewed Todd again since then. He's never come back to me and said, hey, you want to do an interview? And I can't tell you exactly why that is. I thought the interview was good. The video had over 20,000 views on it. But he's never come back to me and said, hey, I want to do another interview with you. I don't have people in this industry knocking on my door. I run the largest toy action figure news site or at least one of them on the internet. And yet, these guys are not knocking down my door to want to be interviewed by me. So, and I don't like these interviews that basically are all about, oh, you're so great and everything you do is fantastic. But I understand why people who do interviews generally in this industry have to do that, because if they don't, then they don't get the access. So I think that's something you have to take into account if you want to see, interviews like that. Then, these guys really aren't in a position where they can ask hard questions or say anything that might make them look bad. Now, in this particular case with this interview, Todd ended up looking pretty bad and has ended up with some negative PR from it. So, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't end up going back to, if they never go back to Shartimus for another interview. And that's sad, because I don't think Shartimus really did anything wrong. Todd was the one that was rambling and basically said what he said. Nobody forced Todd to say what he said, but and maybe he won't. I don't know for sure, but I would not be surprised if Todd does not go back to Shartimus for another interview because he ended up looking bad in this one that he did. And I don't care what the toy company is. These toy companies, either if it's a big corporate company, they're protected by PR firms that basically monitor everything that's asked. Usually you have to give your questions ahead of time, And it's done in a way where you basically, and they tell you, they'll even, you've even heard, like, when you see interviews with the Hasbro guys, they'll even be like, oh, you're not supposed to be asking that. Well, why the hell not? It's a legitimate question. Why can't I ask it? You don't have to answer it, but I should be able to ask you whatever question that I want. If I'm going to interview you, I should be able to ask it. But they're very tightly monitored, and Todd's his own boss, so there is no PR firm. Todd says what he says, and again, he does end up rambling a lot of times because of that. But and there are other guys that have really thin skins that, if you say anything or do anything that they don't like, they'll cut you off in a second. A lot of these guys are ego driven. So that's just this industry. And, if you want to do interviews and stuff, you've got to kind of play those games. Yeah. I I see I watch this stuff on the internet, and it's like, it just, ugh. So yeah, I'm in a little bit of venting mode right now. This industry drives me crazy. So, there are things I love about it, but there are definitely things that drive me crazy. Over the 20 years I've been covering this stuff, there are just things that drive me crazy about this industry. That may be, but I seriously doubt Hasbro would ever go to him and do an interview. Maybe I'm wrong. And Hasbro, I will say that, like, especially with the Marvel Legend team, in the last 2 years, they have definitely at least been more open to collectors. I still, if they think you might ask them something that would make them look bad, they would be less likely to come back to you. But, at least they've made more of an attempt than in all the 20 years I've been doing this. But you'll notice that some companies only go to the set same people every time for interviews. And I think there's a reason for that. Now, that's not to mean that you can't sometimes get information out of the interviews either. I'm not saying that either, but I am saying that, you can only ask certain questions, and you have to be very careful with how you phrase them. And there's some things that they just won't answer. Let's see. Okay, so I've seen a lot of people who will accuse Pixel Dan of essentially being a shill. But the thing about Pixel Dan is he actually does pretty good interviews. He's, in fact, probably, out of all these guys on YouTube that I see doing interviews and stuff, for most things, like, I wouldn't go to Pixel Dan for a Marvel Legend interview because Pixel Dan just does not really collect Marvel Legends that much. But he is a pretty good interviewer. He can ask questions in a way that aren't super tough, but they're enough that you can sometimes, like, pull some nuggets of information out of them. So I actually, his personality is very much like, I want to be pleasing to everybody. And I'll be honest with you, Pixel Dan has done things in the past that has annoyed the crap out of me. But overall, I actually think Pixel Dan is a pretty good interviewer. That's, out of all the types of videos he does, I actually find his interview videos the most interesting thing that he does. And I actually think he's one of the better action figure reviewers out there that does a good job with interviews. Now, he hasn't actually been doing a lot of interviews these days. It's been forever. Well, I guess he did do a NECA. He did a short NECA one this past Toy Fair. Well, and again, with all of these guys, you got to realize that I mean, Pixel Dan doesn't do this stuff full time. Pixel Dan has a full time job. He has two kids. He has a wife. I mean, I don't know. I don't have kids, and this is my full time job. And I don't know, that how he finds the time to do video. There's some of these guys I watch, and I'm like, they have families, they have kids, they have. I mean, it's like, how do you have time, and they have full-time jobs, and it's like, how do they have time, how do they even make the time to do this stuff half the time? I mean, I often wonder that. But again, these guys are not, they're not journalists. They didn't go to school to be journalists. They're not, they're just fans who these toy companies have decided to go to for whatever reason. And they do these interviews, but they're not like what I would call super professional interviews. They're not structured generally. They're just guys, just like you. I mean, they're really no different than you, other than that they've decided to take the time, spend the time making videos. I'm not even really that different, other than, I didn't go to school for journalism. I went to school for marketing and management. I was going to run a comic book store. I never thought I was going to I never, dreamed that I was going to be running websites posting about action figure news for a living. But, but, and the early days of when I started trying to cover, I mean, my first time at Toy Fair was hilarious as hell. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but and the internet was brand new back then, so it was a totally different thing. Well, again, and I don't want to get into, let's call out this guy, or let's, all these guys are just pretty much like you. So, and again, they're basically, it's like, if you're a fan, think of it this way. If you are a fan of somebody, say you've been a lifelong fan of Todd McFarlane, okay, whether it's his artwork, whether it's the toys he makes, or what have you, and now you're like given this opportunity to interview him. I mean, you're going to be kind of starstruck, probably, right? Because you're this fan. You're this fan. Same thing with like the Marvel guys. You're doing this because you love Marvel Legends, and so you're like, oh my god, I'm actually talking to the guys who make Marvel Legend figures. So that's how most of these guys are, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to say there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that you have to take, that these guys, because I often hear like, oh, you're not asking these hard questions, or blah, or this isn't, and it's like, they're just fans like you. They've just been given a certain level of access, even though it is a very scripted access from the toy company standpoint, to be able to talk to these guys. And sometimes you get a little nugget of information. A lot of times you don't. A lot of times it's just fluff. But that's what these guys are. So you have to kind of keep that in mind. Oh, very much, Jerry. They are not allowed. They can get into trouble, like especially when you're talking about companies like a Hasbro. So if they say the wrong thing, they can get in trouble. I don't know if they would actually lose their jobs. I guess it depends on what they said. But yes, it is. They are very limited on what they are allowed to say. And that's why they have the PR firms there to kind of watch them. I think it's a little too restrictive, generally, but the opposite is you get an interview like Todd McFarlane where he just starts rambling about things, and he ends up sticking his foot in his mouth, and that's what they're trying to prevent happening. What color are Frenzy and Rumble? Well, they're red and blue, but which one's red and which one's blue would depend on whether you're talking about the cartoon or the comic. Turtle says that's like, I gotta be honest with you. I mean, I know it was Thundercracker, Skywarp, and the Insecticons, but I can't actually tell you. I forget which one actually got turned into. I haven't watched enough of his videos. I honestly can't say. He does, but you're right. He has worked in the industry, so I would imagine he definitely has some insight that many people in who you watch covering action figures on YouTube do not have. Haul-A-Thon is, I want to say 8 Central Time, or is it? Here, let me look. Haul-A-Thon 8 a.m. Central Time. So I guess that's 9 a.m. Eastern Time. So that's when things should go up. And they will probably put up a teaser earlier than that on the website sometime tomorrow morning. So like they'll throw up an image of the stuff that will be going up on the site probably, early in the morning. No problem, man. Well, until Scott actually shows proof that Mattel, other than just saying, and I haven't checked his channel recently, but I will tell you, I don't think he's right on the whole Mattel losing Masters of the Universe thing. But I already did a video on that, so Uh, well, so are we talking about the original series or the sci-fi series? But honestly, I don't see unless unless we get a new series or something, I don't see that happening anytime soon. I could see maybe Blade or somebody making an appearance. I think it could have been shorter, but I didn't honestly find myself like looking at my watch or anything while I was watching it. Now, I don't know how easily I could sit through it a second time. I don't know if you guys saw, but they put up a deleted scene for the movie with the Joker in it at Arkham. That was kind of interesting. Did I? I mean, I'm always looking for good people to help. I mean, I can't, it would be any kind of position would be a part-time gig, but people who know how to find news and things like that. But a lot of people just sit on social media these days and they just post affiliate links to stuff and they make money that way. That's how a lot of these guys, which, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, yeah, I like the gung ho. When that arrives, I'm definitely going to replace the one, the regular version, and put that one in the cabinet. Hopefully, we'll get a Moon Knight figure reveal maybe next week after the first episode airs. All right, well, it's 8:30, so I think we're gonna wrap it up here. I probably insulted or angered people tonight with my rants. Who knows? But I try and say what's on my mind, and frankly, if you don't like it, then I guess tough. But I definitely feel like some people were not totally understanding what's going on with the whole female thing. But at the same time, I definitely feel like I would love to see more females brought into the hobby, or just beyond just white males. Whether you're gay, white, female, male, non-gender specific. I think more the merrier is my thinking. So, which one, the animated or the movie one? The movie one is up on the Neca website, and I don't know if they're gonna release it in Target stores again, or not Target, but Walmart stores. But Walmart or Neca are basically your two options if you're talking about the movie one. I appreciate it. I don't think I'm honestly I am not the best YouTuber out there. I definitely not. But I do appreciate the kind words. Well, my feeling, and this goes beyond the hobby, is people want what they want and they're not really interested in, being told why they can't get what they want. So I feel like I always piss off a lot of people because I usually come down the middle on things. And so like I'll be like, well, you're wrong about this, but you're right about that. But because I'm not all in on this side or I'm not all in on that side, I just generally end up pissing off everybody. If they won't deliver to your address, like I said, the only other option is maybe Walmart stores would get them in stock again. I mean, they had them in stock for a while. These are kind of a reissue. So I know like the 4-pack, the Turtle 4-pack, and I think the accessory set will get released at Walmart, but I don't know if they're going to re-release the... Actually, now that I think about it, maybe that Toca and Razor didn't get released at stores. I think that might have only been made available on the Neca store. So unfortunately, unless you go to a second party, that might be, Neca might be your only way on that one. All right, guys. So yeah, stay safe out there. As always, guys, I will be doing a news video tomorrow, so we'll go over everything, all the Haul-A-Thon reveals and CollectorCon reveals and whatever else. Subscribe to the channel. You know the drill. Of course, I always think most of you here do that already. But yeah, stay safe out there, guys. And until next time, I'll catch you later.
Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News Message Boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.